A movie version of Ghost of Tsushima is in the works. There's already a director as well as a writer attached to it. And the director wants to make the movie version of Ghost of Tsushima a Japanese cast and filmed in Japanese. Article from Collider, link below in the description section. Chad Stahelski, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I do apologize, tells Collider he wants to make the movie and why he believes the American audience will see the film in Japanese. Back when the surprise hit Parasite won Academy Award for Best Film in 2020, internationally acclaimed filmmaker Bong Joon-ho reminded viewers that once you overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you'll be introduced to so many more amazing films. Now, an exclusive interview with Collider, the filmmaker Chad, who is also doing John Wick Chapter 4, is echoing those words and teasing that he intends to prove Bong right by filming the upcoming Ghost of Tsushima movie adaptation entirely in Japanese. Ghost of Tsushima was released on PlayStation 4 back in 2020 and has become one of the most acclaimed and fastest selling titles, over 9 million copies sold within 2 years. The game's audio options came with Japanese track with English subtitles in order for players to have much more immersive experience when embodying a character from the 13th century Japan. The film's adaptation was announced earlier this year, much to the excitement of fans of the video game. When it comes to the Ghost of Tsushima movie, that is obviously up to the vision, the direction of obviously the director, the lead writer, and Sony as well, because Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch, all that is under Sony, by the way. They're the ones that make the call as to whether or not they're on board with Ghost of Tsushima being shot with Japanese actors and it being in the Japanese language with subtitles for the rest of the world. There are pros to cons to go in that direction, but I will say this, the main game is in English. The main voice actors who also did the mocap for their characters did it in English, whereas the voice acting in Japanese was completely different voice actors from Japan. And for the record, I'm completely against star power. I don't want any sort of quote-unquote Hollywood actors or actresses involved in the project. But I think that there were quite a few, including the actor that played Jin in the video game, who was basically acting just like all the other actors. It's more than just voice acting these days. You're also mocapping your characters. I think that most of them could be brought back to reprise the role of their characters in Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I actually played through Ghost of Tsushima twice on my channel. The first time I actually did it with Japanese and English subtitles. The truth is, if you don't speak Japanese, you're going to miss a lot of stuff, even with the English subtitles, and you're focusing on reading while trying to enjoy the cutscenes and the story itself. You're not going to pick up on everything. That's from the perspective of somebody who predominantly reads and speaks and writes in English. On my second playthrough, I played it with English voice acting, and I could catch things by playing it and watching it unfold with the English voice acting that I missed. By the way, I think that it being in Japanese is great for the Japanese market, but that's just one of many markets throughout the globe. And yeah, they're going to have voice actors and voice actresses revoice the lines in Spanish, in German, and a variety of other languages as well for their audiences to better understand what the characters are talking about on the screen from start to finish. If they decide not to go with the talented actors and actresses from the video game and just have new actors and actresses for the movie version of Ghost of Tsushima, I hope that they do go with extremely talented actors and actresses. And if they decide to go with Japanese actors, actresses, that's totally fine. But I would advise a compromise, perhaps actors and actresses from Japan that are bilingual, that can speak both English and Japanese. I'm sure there's probably quite a few that exist in Japan, and have it to where they shoot scenes in Japanese as well as English. Therefore, you can have the best of both worlds. For people that want to watch Ghost of Tsushima in Japanese, they can do so with English subtitles if they don't speak or are not fluent in Japanese. But for countries throughout the world that are predominantly English, that go to theaters to watch films mostly in English, they would most likely prefer spending money on tickets as well as snacks and drinks at the concessions, which isn't exactly cheap these days, in order to go watch a movie in English as opposed to Japanese. But I believe it still can be done with very talented actors from Japan or actors and actresses of Japanese descent, whether they currently live in America or the UK or somewhere else entirely. And I'm completely against star power. I'd rather give an up-and-coming aspiring actor or actress the opportunity to jump into these roles and win over the audience. But even if the director and the writer decide to go in the direction that they talked about in the Collider article, linked below in the description section, and film it with Japanese actors and actresses, which once again, I'm totally cool with. I'm perfectly fine with that, even though I would prefer actors and actresses that play these roles from the video game. If very similar to the Japanese samurai films of old that inspired Sucker Punch to make Ghost of Tsushima, if this film is shot in Japanese with subtitles, I'll still go check it out, especially if it turns out to be a very good movie that is a faithful adaptation to a game I absolutely love and cherish. I just think the reality is a lot of people might give Ghost of Tsushima movie a pass, even if it turns out to be very good, because of the simple fact that they don't want to sit in a movie theater and watch something in a language that they do not speak, like Japanese. Obviously, the Japanese market will love it. Hopefully, it'll be extremely popular in Japan, just like the Ghost of Tsushima video game was. But there's a reason why most movies that end up being major global blockbusters are shot in English, because that's the language of most of the popular markets when it comes to the film industry, while at the same time you have actors and actresses in other countries throughout the world that speak a variety of other languages like Spanish, French, German, as well as Arabic, who are brought on to revoice these roles in their respective regions or countries, which gives them work as well. And once again, I get the direction, the vision that the director and writer want to go with the movie version of Ghost of Tsushima. But as somebody looking at it from a moviegoer point of view, yeah, a lot of people might end up giving Ghost of Tsushima, the movie, a pass on the grounds that it's not in English. Even if it's with fantastic Japanese actors and actresses. Unfortunately, I think the only ones that are really going to want to go watch this movie are probably those of us that were already Ghost of Tsushima fans. And I thought the idea, the point, the purpose of making this a movie was to grow the fan base revolved around Ghost of Tsushima to even a larger audience, not just those of us that are already playing Ghost of Tsushima. This vision direction just feels kind of limited, in my opinion, even though I do like the idea of it being shot in Japanese from start to finish. I mean, there's also a black and white version of the game you can play through, but the game is absolutely beautiful in color, and I just refuse to play through Ghost of Tsushima in black and white. So are they going to do that as well? Whatever the final vision of Ghost of Tsushima, the movie, happens to be, I hope it's great. I hope it turns out to be way better than previous video game to film adaptations, because most of them have turned out to be very disappointing and terrible. I hope that's not the case of Ghost of Tsushima. As long as it gets good reviews and is mostly faithful, whether it's English or Japanese, and if the final product ends up being in Japanese with English subtitles or subtitles, depending on what country you happen to be watching it in, I will still go watch it because obviously I'm a Ghost of Tsushima fan. But unfortunately, I think that a lot of average casual moviegoers might be turned off unless you happen to live in Japan, which obviously is going to hurt global sales of the Ghost of Tsushima movie, preventing future sequels as well as perhaps even future Ghost of Tsushima games. Your thoughts, your views, and opinions regarding Ghost of Tsushima movie possibly being shot entirely in Japanese. Do you like the idea? Do you not like the idea? And why? As always, feel free and let us know below in the comments section.